Hello everybody and welcome back to another exciting installment of the Jaraci Cup. Going to be continuing coverage of the round of 16 now with Moose versus letsrock. Moose playing Coalition with Conf colors, letsrock playing Conf with Traffic Cone colors. That's pretty fun to see. Let's check out the pick bans here. We do have that information, of course. We start out this first map on College Teeth. Looks like Moose is going to ban Krill and letsrock is going to ban Torin Crater. He picks the shallows, Moose or College Teeth. Moose picks the shallows and GT alt. letsrock picks the boneyard, and then tight end passage will be the ace match. And yeah, this is game one, so welcome Moose. You're watching your own series. No, you can't just have static interference. Haha, Boza mic Gober. It do be like that, but don't worry guys, new mic is in the mail, so that'll be here before too long. LAV Fab first, looks like here from Moose. And Sandscammer Fab gonna be the choice from letsrock. Now letsrock we saw in the last tournament. He also got to the upper bracket after playing in his first tournament in JC5. That was pretty fun to see. In fact, he managed to beat Phoenixio in a best of 5 there, which is pretty fun too. So I've got high hopes for letsrock. I hope he performs pretty well here. And then Moose, of course, I haven't really seen anything from, but he's in the chat, so he can tell us what his thought process was, perhaps. And it is going to be LEVs being produced here, so it seems like kind of a 5 LEV into SC style, perhaps. We'll have to see. Might even be tech. Ref mode first, though, instead from letsrock, which is quite different from what we saw last time. Now, if you remember, last time we saw letsrock basically, I think, going for like Sandskimmer rushes and stuff. But I think he's sort of... Actually, you know what? I think when he played Phoenixio, though, he did CVC, didn't he? And he just AV rushed to victory like 5 times in a row. Uh-oh, probe gonna get sniped here for Moose. But he does get the info that the probe is still back at home. He doesn't know about ref mode yet, though, so that's a bit unfortunate for the probe to die like that. AV Fab gonna be the choice here for Moose. Yeah, I know, right? That's what was so funny about it. Well, so he wasn't AV rushing. I think he was just building AVs and defending, and like Phoenixio just suicided into him 4 times in a row. It was kind of a weird series, dude. Like, yeah, that's a good point that Discover makes, though. So you can actually make this AV timing way faster. This is definitely more like defensive orientated, I suppose you could say, but it's not really a build that we do. So generally what you want to do is retire the base runner, and then you get LAV Fab started immediately, and then you build 1 salvager, and you queue 2 guys on RUs at the very start of the game. And then you can have AV Fab started at like 29:15 on this clock here. So yeah, this is about a minute late. But yeah, didn't you say you were playing this in like a hotel after a couple of drinks? Always enhances the play greatly. Descara knows all about that, I think. Sometimes it enhances the game, you know? Sometimes it enhances the play. One thing I'm very confused about, though, is that letsrock has got ref mode, right? But he hasn't, like, he's just still chilling on 1 base. I don't really know what the deal there is. SC comes out now for Moose, but still no AVs. So I think if you're going to get AV tech, you want to be building them. If you're going to go for an SC before that, you might as well get that the very first thing you build. This artifact going to be picked up, but chances of extraction quite low. Actually, he's not even going to pick it up. I gotta say that's smart, because the only chance this thing has of getting out is if it runs back to the base, and obviously you lose movement speed when you pick it up. Or you could turn around and try to pick it up again, but no, he's going to run out. I'm sure this guy's going to die, but with 1 AV, he should be able to win this fight. Obviously, there's quite a lot of skims, but you know, AV pretty good against Strikecraft. Skimmer rating is done, though. I mean, these guys are just going to get out of there zippy, and they will be safe. Double base runner being produced now from Moose. That's a little bit unique. Well, it doesn't look like he knows exactly what he wants to do. So carry production upgrade are going to come out here instead. I think that's probably the play. That seems better to me, because right now your opponent is techless, so you wanna punish him with AVs. Yeah, I know, right? Like he definitely needs. The thing is, he can kill this AV, It's very good of Moose to have gotten the armor upgrade, but he can still kill this one with this many skims. AVs aren't like invulnerable, you know, to Strikecraft, but he definitely trades effectively here. That's to be said. Actually, can he even kill this? Because he's gonna do 1 damage per shot. It's gonna take 930 shots among 10 sand skimmers. I guess he can always just run by to the main, but he kind of gets encircled here. Oh, who's playing off faction? Because I think letsrock was actually playing Galzian, I think, in the group stage of the first tournament we saw him in. I might be wrong about that though. It's been a bit of time since then. Smoke is good, but you gotta get yourselves in there. Especially, you just gotta pull off the line. I think get to this other AV as fast as you can. So the run by is gonna actually hit for some pretty serious damage after all. That was against Phoenixio, but I think in the group stage he was playing Galzian. And he did a similar thing. He never got tech, you know. Although he does finally have a Soul Chip tech now, but he's not building it, so I'm not sure what it was for. Actually, all of the salves picked off of the base there. So this is one reason you've really got to pull off the line when you've really got to pull off the line when you're getting attacked like that. Because if you just kind of sit there, you are gonna die. You're gonna lose salves. And obviously in Jaraci patch, salvagers are expensive, so like losing them like that is really not good. Distraction gonna come out though for Moose. Ah yes, ability modding, as in not possible. The skims do get cleaned up in the end though. Again, like, he's got tech, but he hasn't built it. Like, he might as well be techless here. These AVs can still hit for damage. He just needs to control the run-bys, though. And, like, it's obvious to see, yeah, letsrock has got the speed advantage here. But, like, Moose should be able to hold this off if he just makes more, AVs. Smoke isn't there, unfortunately. You want to, of course, smoke the back end of the carrier where that missile launcher is. That's where it calculates line of sight from. But this run-by is going to hit for some serious damage if he just kind of keeps moving. That is what he's doing. But he's lost a lot of salves himself, so he's really kind of got to trade the damage here. If he wants this PC, he's going to have to stick around for a bit. He might lose these AVs, so I'm not sure if this is worth it. This doesn't look too great. I mean, he is going to get this, though, right? But yeah, he just kind of has to run out this way. He can't really deal with the main. Or, yeah, the main. It's true. You can actually buy a surprising amount of time by, like, hiding inside of the AV smoke. You know, I think it's worth 2, but, I just feel like it needed to hit for more, and like smoking the Conif carrier on the approach, that would be the way to do it, because he could have negated quite a lot of damage. And then of course this thing's not nearly as fast as you, so I think you just kill salves as you drive by, and then you go for this PC right here. And like if you make this PC run away, you're just gonna buy so much time. Like it's gonna be worth it for sure. letsrock kind of siege out on the field already. That's not great either, because he doesn't really have anything to deal with this, and his eco's been slowed down a lot. So I think I don't know. I think this game might be over already. We'll have to see though. This run by is not going to get anything done at least. But nothing's going to stop this Conf siege. Certainly not a base runner turret. Smoke's on the salves this time. I like that much more. But again, these guys need to like move and like get inside that smoke there, because otherwise it's not going to be terribly effective. Indeed it is. Indeed it. Remember what I said about March 1, man. If you know how to build Conf Siege, you're better than like 80% of players. Yes, definitely. I mean, once the first run by was successful, this becomes a viable strat forever. Yeah, no, I definitely agree, Cookies. I definitely agree. Remember, I think I said this in the last cast, but like, I learned a lot of like RTS basics by watching Bronze League heroes from like Husky StarCraft, you know, because these guys were like making these mistakes, like clinically, you know what I mean? And he would just break down exactly like why they shouldn't have done this. It was great, you know, like it just really good for teaching you like how, like what not to do, I guess, in an RTS. Now it looks like the carriers should be able to clean up the Con of Siege here, but we're gonna lose a lot of salves, although they're idle right now already. R.I.P. Discara. R.I.P. This Con of Siege doesn't want to hang around. He can actually be killed. Again, this is kind of the situation where like the threat of this unit being on the field is much more powerful than the damage it can actually do right now. Just like hold here, right, and like don't get killed by this carrier, and then the carrier always has to worry about it. So then the second siege cruiser can just kind of come around here, free damage, right? You're just gonna pull him off that line forever. But instead, the Con of Siege goes down, so unfortunately, that's not going to be available. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. You see someone make a mistake, and you're like, ah, okay, I'm not going to do that then. It's really educational. I think the best is to have games of your own be cast, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, I shouldn't have done this. But like probably second best is to see other people's mistakes. Skimmer damage 2 being teched here now for letsrock. And I mean, like, the way that he's been doing these run-bys, I really don't hate this at all. Because, like, look, there's rails up here, but there's nothing else that's going to, like, stop it. I mean, that's the thing. I think the snowball has already kind of gotten started rolling here. I don't know what can really be done about this. And in a lot of ways, I think this just goes back to the opener, right? Like, if you get AV on the fastest timing, you can get a lot of damage done with them. Whereas this was definitely just, too late, you know? Too late. You know, I remember Discara using a webcam actually in one of the Jaraci Cups, I think. I might be mistaken, but I think he did, like when he was playing against Garnolator. That was a pretty hype matchup, I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot of fun. It was KC2, I think. You know, amazingly, actually, letsrock has taken very little damage from this dive here. I'm kind of amazed. I don't know how he's done this, but he made it work this time. Double Con of Siege on the one flank, though, I think is kind of a bit unfortunate here. Because obviously, what you can do again is like, oh my gosh, he's on 4 artifacts. Whoa. Holy. Okay. You know, I don't know, maybe he can actually pull it through in that case. But the thing is, so Con of Siege wants to be used kind of the same way that AC does, right? It wants to, like, split, kind of, and, like, get pressure by basically having your opponent just try to, like, react to different sides of the map at the same time. Whereas when it plays this way, I mean, like, obviously he's got rails, like, he knows how to use them, so he's not just gonna fall to it. Another thing that I think letsrock should do, though, is he just kind of is keeping on this same strategy of, like, skimmers and Con of Siege, but, eventually his opponent's gonna figure out how to beat it, and that's just armor rails, probably. Armor rails and carrier power. So it looks to me like, Moose is kind of stabilized here, whereas letsrock could also transition now into, like, air, and air would just kill his opponent entirely right here. So... You know, I'm not gonna lie, like, when I'm playing League or something, I, like, freaking rage at my teammates, like, so hard. But I don't chat it. Like, I don't tell them in all chat that they're, like, bad, but, like, man, I freaking get mad at them, you know what I mean? So, maybe I should stream that, too, just get a little bit more chill, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, people are so brain dead in solo queue though. When can I get out of silver, please? Play 3 more and you might type that crap too. Oh boy. Can you show units lost? Oh yes, I can. Yeah, look at that. letsrock has actually lost quite a lot more. I mean, the thing that this doesn't tell, of course, is that a lot of that is lost mining as well. Which, by the way, these two guys are idle as well. I mentioned this in an earlier cast, but like if you hit F3, it'll show you the salvagers that are idle. So that's a really good hotkey to know. Just kind of spam that every now and then. See, oh yeah, we've got idols. Let's reassign these guys. You can also tell up in the top right. It says 6 and 2, right? When you're on 2 base, it should say 6 and 4. So like, oh, something's wrong. So hit F3. You know, A-game, I know exactly what you mean by that. I know exactly what you mean. Like, the first game, you've got a top laner who goes, like, 0-7 in lane, and you're like, it's okay, we can still win this, guys. You're, like, super positive, good vibes and whatever. And then, like, by the end of the day, if you have, like, a mid laner who dies, like, 0-10 to, like, Cho'Gath or something, you're just like, I'm so done. Positive vibes are dead. Like, you can handle it at the start of the game, but not at the end. So this is kind of more akin to what Siege Cruisers wants to do, but again, they're all sort of on the same quadrant. If actually there's one Siege Cruiser here with the extractions, these guys become, like, infinitely more powerful because the rails can't turn back and defend. Because then you're going to start losing, you know, ground on this side. So, again, the split pushing here on the Siege Cruisers is going to be a lot more powerful. They definitely win this fight, though. AVs versus Siege Cruisers. What do you think? Oh yeah, no, I don't flame teammates. I definitely tell them, like, hey, like, do this, and we, like, this is our win condition. Like, I try to kind of talk the strategy, but no, I don't like flaming teammates either. Oh, it's very compelling, but sometimes it gets through, I'm not gonna lie. Last game of the day, maybe I do. But generally I'm pretty good at, like, keeping it to myself. Just tell them get good. That's always constructive, yeah, for sure. R.I.P. I've never heard of that. By the way, this is a barrage waiting to happen right here. Units are very bunched up on this side. You know what? I don't think we've actually seen a single kind of Siege Cruiser barrage yet. Indeed it is. This is, I think, what we would call a bad scenario. Kind of Siege doesn't even know what to attack right now. It's getting, like, carrier blocked, I think, so... Actually, one of them goes down, in fact, but yeah. Looks like Boost understands where this is headed. And he goes ahead and, chooses to GG out at this moment. Let's load up game 2, shall we? Game 2, of course, is going to be the Shallows. This is Moose's pick. But see, the thing is, I think the real strength of kind of Siege actually is that barrage ability. Because, like, what they want to do is win by attrition, I think. Because obviously they've got that front line, but Rails will beat them in that scenario. Unless, of course, you can use the dunes properly. But the thing is, like, when you hide behind the dunes, you don't really have any tempo. But when you hide behind the dunes and you have a free barrage, okay, so now we're getting somewhere. So... a party of 1.5. Excellent. Well, welcome, Maze. I agree, though. Direct fire barrage, very satisfying. Definitely, though, I think the big takeaway there, though, is like Caught F Siege doesn't really work as efficiently as you're expecting as like just the run in there and kill them type of thing, because obviously it needs to get on top of the rails. There's a lot of distance on a map like Kalash Teeth. You want to have one of them on one side and one of them on the other. Anywhere that his rails are, you back up and you barrage him and you push in on the other side. And then when he goes to respond to you there, you pull that guy out, you barrage, you push in on the other side. So, you know, you want to make your opponent basically just like split between different locations. Anytime that like they have to put 3 rails here, 3 rails here, now you're not fighting against 6 of them. So that's kind of the way. Do you know the way? PC refinery mode coming up for Let's Rock, so it looks like it's going to be an eco opener here, but he actually goes for skim fab first. I'm not a big fan of that, because I think on the shallows for sure you can get away with just straight SC first. Uh-oh, Moose is doing the build, guys. Uh-oh. I've mentioned it before, but I will say it again. If you're going to go SC first, make it actually SC first, not SC second. So you get the support cruiser started, and then you go for LAV fab, not the other way around. Otherwise, Discara will, he'll flame you for that. He'll be like in all chat, OMG, this mid laner. No. It's fine, of course, learning opportunity. Best thing about 1v1 games is that you don't ruin the experience for anyone else. Unless, of course, you're just that good. The ref mode and support cruiser are going to finish for both players. They both kind of went for this sort of suboptimal play here, so pretty much going to be even. Yeah, Cookies, you got it. Yes. No probe until LAV fab is on the way. Yes. He has taken the lesson to heart. It's going to be AVs and assault ships, pretty standard stuff. And, yeah, it looks like we're gearing in for another late game here, but it does seem as though, Let's Rock is going to be able to stop this base runner with his, sand skimmers. So I don't think there's going to be an extract here. We've seen a couple of these fail earlier today, but this one should go through. He's got the numbers as well to fight these LAVs if he wants to. They shouldn't buy enough time. So what the skims want to do now is like back up here and then hold ground when they get up on top of the hill. And then that lets them just get free high ground. Because there actually is high ground to be had here and just kill this thing a little bit faster. But it's fine. It's totally fine. He's going to get the kill anyway. Probably wants to pull this guy back now. And then these 4 can actually just dive in because they're faster than these LAVs and they will kill them. Yeah, they are on the way now. Let's rock with another PC coming out. For a sweet minute or two, I could look like I know what I'm doing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Galzian is really tough to play. Like when you're first getting into the game. You really have to know your builds, I think, as Galzian. And as Coalition, like you can choose to just go SC first every game, really, and I don't think you're gonna get punished for it. You can just kind of be the defender. This turret, kind of nice, by the way. Obviously, you know, attack gonna come in here for the skims. I think it actually got like 2 kills. I got 3 actually. So this turret's pretty much paid for itself. And it's obviously not gonna go anywhere anytime soon. So good on him for that. It's more fun attacking anyway. Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the thing is, it's the kind of thing where I generally tell people when they're new to the game to start with Coalition because I think it's just easier to get a hang of. You learn how to defend, and then if you decide it's really not for you, then you can switch to Gal. But like Coalition, you really can learn like one build order and be pretty good at the game. And I'd want you to diversify if you're going to decide that you want to be a Coalition main, but like, it's really easy to start with just SC first and just like learn how to play the game that way. It's a lot more straightforward, I guess I would say. Because as Galzian, you have forward production, so you have like definitely, you have like like not really an incentive, like a requirement to like use it, you know what I mean? Ref mode first is really strong too, but it's really dangerous. You can easily die to it. There's like so much more mind gaming that goes into it, so I think Galzian definitely a bit harder to play. Assault Cruiser Fab coming in now for Moose, about to finish. And it is going to be straight to Siege Cruiser for Let's Rock. Again, I said it before, but, you know, build Conf Siege. You will be better than, like, freaking 80% of players. Yeah, well, the other thing about Galzi and Conf is that they have, like, spine-mounted weapons, right? Which means that you have carrier blocking and wreck blocking to, like, worry about, too. So the potential to outplay yourself is, like, so big as Galzi and Conf. Like, it's terrible when you do that. And it happens, like, surprisingly often, even in the top level of play. So, it's not something that, like, oh, you know, you get used to this. Like, this just happens always. It's true, though. Their units are definitely, like, you don't get punished as much for having, like, an artillery cruiser out of position, right? You do that as Coalition, like, he's dead. And the self-healing is really nice, too. Especially, I think, for new players, but, I definitely think Coalition a bit easier to pick up. Double AC popping here, so that should be a pretty darn good counter to these skims. Oh, you got censored? Oh, it didn't show anything up to me. Man, I gotta just like turn off the auto mod. Here, I'll just make you a mod real quick. Shoot, can I not do that from OBS Studio? Ah, whatever. So double AC is gonna shut this down pretty darn hard. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it'll just drive the other way. Definitely it wants to be here, though. Smoke is good. That's excellent smoke. Art, ACs, you want to be there? Oh, dear. I just, like, sit there watching it, no words. Now he wants to pull off the line, then, at least. I mean, for sure, the ACs are going to be powerful in the front line, but they could have held off this rush pretty much single-handedly. And if these guys pulled off the line, you might get away with not even losing any salvagers. But for sure, I would still say that that wasn't worth it for Let's Rock. This is the Jaraci Cup 6 upper bracket. Oh no, Descara has been taken by the female. R.I.P. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Oh, and it's straight to artillery. Nice. Well, this is a good playstyle, I think, because it's going to shut down Conf Siege pretty nicely, I think. I mean, it's not as if Let's Rock has been barraging very much, but any time that he does now, he's pretty much going to die. Because, yeah, precision barrage, right? Obviously, you have this nice interaction. Anytime that he stops, like when he barrages, he has to stand still, so you just immediately click R on him, and then... yeah, that's pretty much like more than half damage on the Conf Siege before he'll even like notice it. So why does AC use hover tech? It's like stolen Galzian technology or something. I mean, the real reason is because during development... Oh, I know what happened here. He hit R instead of T. Ow. Yeah, I've done that so many freaking times. Anyway, during development it was going to be a Galzian unit, but they figured it didn't really fit very well with the roster. Here's that precision barrage I was talking about, though. It's going to land pretty good. But one of the ACs goes down already. I think the second one will, too, although I believe he oh, he doesn't outspeed here. He could, actually, with E. So maybe he would have lived there, but... That's a bit of a shame. This fight, though, he definitely wins, unless he hits R again, though. It's a sad thing when that happens. Yep, down they go. So they trade 2 for 2. This is actually a fine trade for the Coalition player. Well, the other thing you gotta realize with ACs is they can actually dodge the siege cruiser missiles. This AC, by the way, is charging way too far forward. This guy needs to run back. But yes, AC versus KSC, I think more than most unit interactions, is very much like skill dependent. By the way, I really like the realization this guy was dead anyway. He just had to charge in and get the kill. That was really good. But you can actually dodge the missiles. They start from the, like, looking from the KSC's side from here. They start on the left and then they move right, the missile launcher. And so if you move in that same direction, you can actually dodge most of the shots. That one just proved me wrong. It started from right and then left. Uh-oh, oh no, he hit R again. Man, I've done this so many times, like I can, this hurts me personally. Missiles could be used here too, he doesn't actually have any power in there. I know, right? They stand out so badly. It's like, oh. Why this color, you know? Carrier's getting involved here too, but this is just like an absurd amount of units. He doesn't have much frontline though, so he needs to be careful. These artillery cruisers could actually die here. But you know what else could die is this freaking carrier. He's just like throwing this carrier in here. Don't like this. Attack Missile Barrage is going to come out as well. I mean, that's probably going to do it. Ow. It's freaking game over. Bit anticlimactic, I gotta say. He just kind of like charged in there and died. Definitely artillery was a good pick here. And this is why, by the way, it seems to go pretty well usually against Con F Siege. Let's move on to the next one. Indeed it is. I mean, the thing here is that, like, Gelsian Siege doesn't have this interaction. Oh boy. Well, Gelsian Siege doesn't have this interaction because they don't have Precision Barrage, right? But, like, if the Con F player ever barrages, the Coalition player just uses Precision Barrage and kills them right out. So, like, it's really hard to win, like, the artillery war without the carrier powered up. That's like the real key to that interaction. You need to have the carrier powered up so that you can do the same thing to your opponent. Obviously, if you're watching outside of sensors, when a barrage starts, you'll see the missiles launching from where the unit is, so that's where, you know, you send all of your carrier missiles. Well, we're talking about like the indirect fire, like the long range one. It doesn't actually do all that much damage to single targets, right? I'm not sure if a precision barrage is enough to kill a Con F Siege cruiser, but like if not, it does a lot of damage. But it honestly might be. It's got 3,200 health, right? I don't know. So it's a real thing. Oh, you meant like set the artillery cruiser couldn't get the barrage off. Well, it's true Con F Siege will do a lot of damage, but like the precision barrage will just do so much more. You can listen for the sound cue too, right? You'll hear like this. It almost sounds like metal rattling, like as the Con F missiles start firing. So like that's a really easy sound cue to listen for, and then you go, oh, spam the R button, and I think you should be able to kill them pretty easily. So I think it's a really good interaction for Coalition there. We're gonna have a little bit of an artillery battle, or sorry, artifact battle here. It is gonna be ref mode first for letsrock, but it's LEVs instead with armor as well for Moose. Yeah, it has a shorter cooldown as well. I mean, I'm not sure because I don't really play Coalition all that much, but like, I'm wondering if it's ever even the right decision to not use Precision Barrage. Turret getting set down here, so he really wants to win this fight. So actually the normal barrage for... Oh, and he's going to get this artifact too. This is very, very good for Moose. The normal barrage for Siege is like 140 seconds, I think. And I believe Precision Barrage is either 60 or 90. I can't remember though. It used to be 30 though, which was insane. But of course, back then it cost money in vanilla, so I guess that's why they had it so low. But I think people weren't abusing that enough though when they would play patch. Because it was still that low. Oh, it's 100 seconds. Okay, it's not 140. Oh yeah, because that's a minute and 40 seconds, right? A bit of lazy micro over here is going to cost Moose a couple of LAVs. I think 2 of them dying there. For sure he could have gotten this guy with like a bit more of a dive there. Actually, no, this guy lived, but he definitely wants to get out of here now. Oh no! Oh no! Oh my gosh, what a glass cannon! Oh, Kana Seeds is 140 seconds. Oh, okay. No! R.I.P. Galzian Siege is 90 seconds, really. So it's got a very low cooldown. You know, you'd think I would know these things, right? But hey, that's true, Couchmow, that's true. That's what I always said back in the day. They also die quick, though. Oh, you changed them before J... Okay, right. Assault Pack gonna finish on these LAVs too, so these guys are freaking buff. And LAVs, of course, too, just like very strong in the current balance as well. But like with Assault Pack, he could actually run these guys over, so that's what I want to see him do now. Come on, do it, you know you want to. It's a little too late now, they'd be by their carrier at this point. So second artifact just going to be coming out though, but this is giving him some very good pressure. And again, his opponent is not teching against this, so he's just playing this with only skims. That seems like the Let's Rock thing to do. I don't like that at all, because obviously, whether or not you win this matchup, you know, you're never going to have field control, right? Because LAVs, this is something to know about them. When they fight against skimmers, they might lose, but like skims, Skims may not have to relinquish certain territory that they've gotten hold of, but they'll never push against LAVs, I don't think. Not unless you get like a really distinct advantage. And in this case, I mean, he knows he doesn't have upgrade majority either, but like... yeah, Skims won't push against LAVs. And they certainly won't push against LAVs when they're all dead, but you know. If he had like the numbers to fight them, he could hold this hill right here, but he could never push out over it, because obviously the LAVs are just gonna, you know, outrange them and just like chew them up as they're on the approach. So this is basically like field control gone forever until he techs to something. And still no tech, so this is quite rough. This is quite rough for Let's Rock. And Moose, meanwhile, just now getting onto 2 base, but he does have rail tech already, and he's sending them over. And honestly, this support cruiser, this might be a misrally, but he might honestly just be going this way. No, it looks like he is headed down. A little bit of a throw here. He's losing more LEVs than he needs to, but he might honestly still win this with a bit of micro, but it looks like he's not interested, so he just backs away for now. And actually what I want to see him get now is the third carry production, or second carry production upgrade, just so that he can like spam more LEVs. Because I think his win condition right now is that he just keeps the LEV majority and the rails can siege. If his opponent's not going to tech, I mean, that's going to win the game for him. He also probably wants to get this damage upgrade though, so that's probably the priority. This is another artifact coming out as well now, so that brings the scoreline to 3-0. Indeed, very nice. And these skims are kind of forfeit already, I think. Surely they die here. At least some of them. Wants to be careful with this Dune though, because obviously he can get jumped on now. And he needs to keep building skims, so LAVs. You can see he's building up a bit of a float here. This is a good place to fight though, of course, because he's still got that turret from the early game. And honestly, with this turret here, I think he wins this trade. He can even set down a second one if he really wanted BBM. But yeah, he just needs to like keep spamming LAVs. That's what he needs right now. And obviously rally them to the front line as well. But like, he's got the numbers to fight right now. And obviously like the carrier is doing something weird. I think he's realizing that this artifact pressure is bad, so he's like chilling out over his opponent's extraction zone. But he wants that carrier here to defend, so if Moose realizes, I mean, like, hey, this is, you know, free base, like, just take it. Yeah, and that seems to be where he's headed. Mag Excel on the way too, so he's ready to fight. We didn't get damage 2 though. I would have liked to see that, because obviously his opponent is going to match him in upgrades now. But these LEVs are pretty scary. He's got the numbers for sure. Also just kind of hit himself with that det pack, but it's kind of waffling though. Again, you want to fight here. This is where you want to be. Me too. This is something that we don't want to be oppressive like in vanilla, but we don't want it to be non-existent like it was in some earlier versions of patch. It's fun to watch. It's definitely, I think, like the best micro expression, you know what I mean? And by the way, he's actually losing this fight now. Taking the fight sort of on top of his opponent is never ideal when you're fighting against skims. And unfortunately, he's actually going to lose that. Down goes the artifact as well. And all of a sudden these rails feel a little awkward. They're like, Because that's the thing, he needed more LEVs. The win condition here is that you win the sand skimmer fight. And the rails don't obviously fight the skims at all, so you want to sort of have them be like your secondary thing, right? This is really good though, he's on top of us. He wants to keep diving here, because he wins this. Okay, he seems to get it. Now the rails can push out again. And then I think you go for another carry production upgrade. But actually AEV tech is pretty smart here too, because if he transitions now to AEV rails, he basically, like, I mean, nothing that his opponent has got can stop him. And finally, Siege Cruiser tech is getting started, but like, how do you not have assault chips here? I don't know. This seems really risky. This is an overextend though, for sure. He needs to be careful. If you're not spamming LAVs, you basically have to just realize, like, look, you can't fight your opponent in the midfield, because they'll get run over just like this. Ugh. Back and forth. It's very back and forth. But the carrier's gonna move out now in sort of a two-base play-esque type of move. This turret finally gets killed, but that thing had given great value to Moose so far. This one AV though I'm very worried for, because obviously this is armor 0. He's not gonna have a good time if he fights these skims now. Damage 2 is on the way. And then this is kind of eco-suicide as well. If you do the math, you'll find it's much more efficient to leave him on the main than to have him halfway between the bases. So, because obviously then there's no travel time, whereas right now both bases have travel time. It's kind of like that counterintuitive physics question of like, a plane flies between two places and there's like headwind on one trip of the journey and tailwind on the other. Is it faster, slower, or the same speed? It's actually slower. It's kind of like that, I guess. Because people would think, oh, it's the same speed, right? I mean, you gained 50 miles an hour one direction, you lost 50 miles an hour the other, but actually that makes you slower. You know what I would also love right now is some heavy vehicles armor upgrades. By the way, these rails, very, very bad position right here. They need to definitely be backed away. Oh dear. Oh. Oh no. This is gonna be unfortunate. Yeah, 3 rails picked off there as well. Now he can fight this kind of carrier, but having those rails alive would have been nice. Yeah, I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but this is kind of one of these classic physics problems. By the way, this is a great run by. He wants to now get in here and just like chonk it, you know what I'm saying? But he might lose his carrier, so maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, this is one of these classic like counterintuitive physics problems, where actually, even though you gain the same speed in one direction that you lost in the other direction, you're slower as of like total time. Not the same speed. I didn't invent these rules, alright? So if you want to complain about it, go ask God about it. By the way, Skims really threw themselves against these AVs. Definitely wanted to like drive over this side and like take these things out. Oh, Maze, I don't just know it for a fact. I can mathematically prove it if I had like paper or something. Oh, Kana Siege just popped though. This carrier is so low already though. I don't know if you can do this. Yeah, this has got to be game over. physics stream win. Well, I'll have you know, I got an A in my physics class last semester. Yes, Cookies has got it exactly. GG, by the way. The thing is, yeah, you have one state where you're slowed and one state where you're sped up. And you spend less time in the sped up state because you get to the destination faster. You spend more time in the slowed state. And so actually the slow ends up being more effective than the speed. It sounds weird, I know, but it's true. This is a real thing. Hold on, that was game 3, yeah? So that brings Moose to 2-1 in this series. He's going to be feeling good about that. And the next game is going to be on the Boneyards. This is potentially series point right here. Moose definitely wanting to take this one. Things are looking good so far. Boneyard is a pretty fun map. Obviously, there's some strategies that Conef can do on this map that are pretty, like Conef and Galzian, that are pretty strong, like rushing-wise. Clearly, the Conef player does not have the rail rush spawn, though, but I don't think that letsrock would have done it anyway. Just skip. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Don't worry. We're gonna watch it all. Apparently, this game is bad. Please explain it. Okay, so. Let's take, okay, so let's say there's like 2 wrecks here, alright? And then there's a big dust storm here, so obviously there's like, we move at 100 kilometers an hour, right? And there's a dust storm blowing like 20 kilometers an hour that it's going to add to our speed, right? So we drive this way going 120 kilometers an hour and this way going 80 kilometers an hour. But the thing is, if we're going 120 kilometers an hour, we get here faster than we get here, right? Because obviously, you know, we're moving faster. And so the amount of time that we spend getting sped up is lower than the amount of time that we spend getting slowed down. And as a result, the slow is more effective, you could say. And so it will take us longer than it would have if there was no wind at all. QED. And then obviously, if I had like paper, I could prove this with equations, but like I'm not interested in that. That's what we did in the physics class, and you know, I feel like I've sort of earned not having to do that anymore. So, ref mode on the way now for Let's Rock here. But again, it's no base runner retire, and Sandskimmer Fab starts first. And so I am afraid. Oh, what? No, that's the explanation. So. When you're moving faster, when you're moving 120 kilometers an hour, you get here faster, right? It takes you less time to travel here, and it takes you more time than it would have to travel there. And so as a result, you spend more time in the state where you're slowed than you do in the state where you're sped. And so the slowing state is more effective than the speeding state, and as a result, you take longer to get there. Trust me, it's science. You see, but that's not quite it. Yeah, that's the thing, Maze. That's what you would think. Like, when they first showed this problem to us in the physics class, I was like, well, yeah, of course this gotta be the same speed, right? And that's what I was doing. I was using the velocity equations, right? But it's actually not quite that simple. It sounds stupid, but it's true. You have to like actually make the equation and balance it, and then you'll see that like velocity 1 and velocity 2 is actually like fundamentally different. Okay. I mean, this is gonna be impossible with like just speaking it. So like. Oh man, I'm not even gonna use like all chat for this. you have to balance it between like let me think how this was done. So distance is the same, so that's the one that you're gonna use to like make the equation. And so time 1 is gonna be time 1 is gonna be like just the base velocity. We can call this v. going to be V divided by D, which in this case would be 100 kilometers an hour divided by 200 kilometers, so that's 0.5. Or, oh my gosh. It's going to be distance divided by speed, sorry, so that's going to be 2 hours, right? Yeah, surprisingly, if you go 100 kilometers an hour and you have 200 kilometers to go, it takes you 2 hours. I'm so good at freaking math. So that's time 1 is 2 hours, right? And then, it's still going on about this, yes. Like, this guy's name is Math the Geek, alright? So, if you can't trust him... and then, so for the other case, where you have the speed, time is gonna not be equal just to, like, V1 over D plus V2 over D. It's actually different. Okay, you know what? We're gonna have to, like, look this up after this so that I can, like, prove it to you guys. I'm telling you it's true, okay? I'm telling you it's true. I'm not doing a good job explaining this, though, because it's been, like, a year plus since I looked at this. What I'm trying, like, the point at the end of all of this, at the end of the road, is that if you want to maximize your money, you put the carrier on the main base, not halfway between them. That's the point. Look, I'm having trouble explaining this because it's been too long. But like, you'll have to trust me. It's true. I'll look it up after this game, like, or after this series. Score is 2-1 in favor of Moose. The thing is, like, I can't show you by equations because I can't, like, type them, like, I can't write them out. So like I can't like keep it straight in my head, you know what I mean? I have the right idea as I'm like starting to lay out the variables and stuff, but it's just like, no way, I'm gonna... Look, man, I'm casting a game. Okay, you guys find the link online. This is looking pretty okay, by the way, except these assault railguns are gonna be a huge problem. Battlecruiser fab, oh my gosh. I don't know, that doesn't seem like the answer to me. Because obviously you're gonna have, No, I'll just do it after the game. You're gonna have, like, this big transition period now, and these assault railguns are just gonna run all over you. Well, what's supposed to be surprising is that it takes longer, even though the headwind and the tailwind are the same. Whereas most people, I think, naturally would think it takes the same amount of time. That's what Maze is saying. Aha, yeah. Jesper's got it. Jesper has got it. Actually, one thing that helped me to conceptualize this was to, like, consider the extreme example, which is something that you do in physics quite a lot, because if something can't hold up in the extreme example, it very rarely can hold up in the non-extreme example, right? So let's say the plane moves at 100 kilometers an hour, but there's actually 100 kilometer an hour wind, right? And so this demonstrates it pretty well, because he gets to the destination twice as fast, but he returns never. It takes him infinite time to get back, because obviously the headwind is exactly the same as his speed. So I mean, obviously we can see from the extreme example it's going to take more time total, but... Well, that's the thing. People don't think so. Most people would say that the plane gets there in the same speed, but it's not true. Anyway, this is all a roundabout way to convince you to not have your carrier halfway between two bases. Oh. AV got chonked. It's what was happening in the game. Lots of assault railguns. Assault railguns everywhere. And again, this is what I was saying was the problem with BCs, although they are going to pop now, so... This is when he's got to play pretty tryhardy. He needs to be on this high ground. And he's actually got a range advantage over these, He's got a range advantage over these assault rails too, so he wants to abuse that. Oh, look at this! Look at this! This is what he's doing. So the salvagers have a speed... Okay. We're not going to get into it, but just trust me. Having the sport cruiser on the main always going to be better for you. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The thing about assault railguns versus BC is that they're much faster. Again, the problem here is tempo, right? letsrock is just always going to own this field. This enlightening maths experience. So these BCs want to actually stay up on this high ground. If they get low ground, they can be killed here. But you can see the damage is pretty real. letsrock gonna have to back away. And he just wants to push with this carrier. I don't know about that though. Assault Rail is gonna hold off this backstab pretty nicely as well. This Conov carrier is not really powered. He teched into siege cruisers, but what he really needs is heavy rails right now. Because obviously he's facing like kind of a two-base play, as we can call it, like, I don't even know. It hurts my brain to look over here. We're just gonna call it a two-base play, alright? So what he really needs, I think, is heavy rails, and he needs carrier power. Teching into Conov Siege, just teching into anything during a situation like this, usually a bad idea, but seems to work out for him in the end. Yeah, well, I don't know. I think teching into battle cruisers was really the throw here. And by the way, this should be a good lesson on how assault railguns really can do damage to carriers, even with power 2 in there. It's small, but they are doing damage. But if you're facing assault railguns, please, for the love of all that is lovable, put power into armor, because you can see the DPS decrease is pretty massive here. Yeah, just teching BC is just kind of a low tempo move, you know what I mean? So it allowed the enemy player to just kind of run the field, which is not really what you want. Wait, BCs are bad now? Shrike, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's also true. I mean, one reason you would never do this is because this base has 6 and this one has 4, so... Anyway, we can just forget about that one, and all the cringy math discussion that went around about it. Man, BCs are freaking insane. So, like... Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. So, the salvagers, when you hold them in the mid-ground, they have to spin. And actually, the spin contributes to quite a lot of travel time. So, you do want to rotate the carrier set. It's lengthwise facing the second base. But if you think about it, as we move the carrier further and further toward the second base, we don't actually gain anything, really. Because any travel time that we, like, shave off of these guys, we add to these guys. And obviously it would be bad enough because this base has got 6 spots, but even if we were between the 2 that have 4, now we're making these salvagers turn, like spin, turn to the carrier, spin, and come back, and they have inertia, and so we actually lose out no matter what. So long story short, you should always have the carrier on the base, not like halfway between it, in every case. And having the long distance miners is better than having 2 like half bases. So that's the lesson to be learned here. Maybe I need to like kill Shrike with BCs to prove to him that they're like good units. That's sort of the usual thing to do when he says things like this. Strikecraft Fab from both sides coming here. Man, I'll beat you anyway. Because I know how to use them. But can you kill Descara with BCs? and then I'll fail because Descara is better than me, and then BCs will be bad units for the rest of time. Although we will learn something though, because playing with Descara will reveal something fundamental about the meta. That's usually how these things go. AV Fab first coming out here from Moose. And ref mode coming out for letsrock. This one is for all the marbles, so both these players kind of just sticking to what they know. Sticking to the tried and true builds so far. Now the thing is, if Moose will actually like really dedicate to pushing with these AAVs, I think he can get a lot done because letsrock traditionally in this series has been very, very slow to tech. And if he hasn't got tech, he will die. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. Sorry, this is not tried and true. This is a double extract. Nice. Let me tell you guys, I like this play. This is actually really smart. That's one thing you've always got to watch out for. The extraction zone can be a little bit trippy on this map because it's like on such a low ground. So the best way to look at that is like have your camera actually directly above, and then you'll be able to see if you're actually going to get into it or not. Artifact going to get extracted by letsrock as well. Now, you know what I haven't seen any of this series is blast drones, and that seems like a darn shame to me. I was about to say I'm not usually a big fan of carry production off of one base, but this is actually two base. He just made an SC. But again, you know, I think if you just commit into AAVs, you're actually really going to damage a player who just does skims like this. So, and in fact, I say that you should just kind of I say that you should really just kind of go SC first when you're learning DOK, but honestly, like, after, like, if you decide that you want to main Coalition, you can win a lot of games by just AAV rushing. Like, a lot of players at this level don't really know what to do about it. So, might be something to look into. Learn, like, the build order, and then just, like, because if he played the way that he is right now, you would destroy him with an AAV rush. As it stands, though, AAVs are crossing the field. letsrock making a second PC before tech. This is extremely greedy for ref mode. But see, it's weird because he also got Sandskim Fab before ref mode, which is like too safe, you know what I mean? It's kind of strange. Really, Gaussian players need to be thinking about getting tech. You really have got to have it. AVs do be trundling across the field here. Tight End Passage, by the way, pretty decent map for the AV rush, actually, because as you can see, like, you can drive along this dune and be, like, untargetable by the carrier all the way up to the base. He's not really taking advantage of it here, and you can see him backing away, but he shouldn't. These guys can be cleaned up by AVs which come on the back line, like, later. So these two, this is a distraction. You actually just want to attack the base. And you'll force him to come back. He has to come back, because if he doesn't, he's just going to lose things. I can confirm that, by the way. BCs are really good on teeth because they're acting almost like souped up assault cruisers right now. It's weird. By the way, powering up this carrier would go a long way. Because obviously these skims want to run past it. But these AVs have really got them pinned down, so this is not going terribly well. And it's going to be assault railguns coming in from letsrock. This is what he did last game. It worked for him, so... Well, oh, yeah, look at this. This time we have the counter pick, and it is going to be railguns. He could also have gone for air. I want to point that out. That would be pretty strong. But that doesn't seem like something... Like, he hasn't used air at all so far. So, you know, rails are a good counter. We don't know his air game, and he's really far ahead right now. So, I mean, this seems very nominal to me. This is good. It's exactly what he needs. 800 CUs to 0. Look at that. That is really great. Support cruiser on the way now as well for Moose. So he's going to expand up to his third base. I'm a big fan of that. Mag Excel probably should be teched if we're going to... Well, with only two of them, maybe not. Yeah, armor is probably better. BCs are very dependent on your opponent being bad. Oh my gosh, right. That's why we see them in the top level working against Descara and me and whatever, right? Jeez. This is like, oh my gosh, we've had this conversation like 50 times, I swear. Every time about different units. Which have turned out to be like completely meta. Well, the thing about the nerf was that it was more of like a rework anyway. Because yes, they were OP, but like now they're still just good, you know what I mean? Bit of damage being done to salves here. Now, if these assault rails pop over the dune, actually, this is a bit of a misplay for Moose, because I think he wins this. Assault rails have pretty good DPS, but they'll actually die, I think, to AVs at close range. One thing's for sure, though, these rails are in perfect position to fight against them. If they push up the dune here, actually a turret would have gone a long way, but he doesn't really have the money for it. But yeah, this is just free damage on these rails forever. And this is exactly what rails want to do. If you have range, you want to basically just trade forever for free. And actually, MagXL did finish, so he's going to take that tech. It's probably not bad at all. And the smoke is good, actually. The target fire was off on these assault rails, so I think this is going to be a double extract here. Wants to keep smoking it, though. He wants to keep smoking this. Good smoke. Yeah, this is great. This is exactly good. I would rate this 3.6 out of 15,000. Aha, Wolfram Alpha. Yes, look at this. All right. All right, hold up. Look at that. That proves it's true. I don't know. I don't want to bother like explaining why that proves that I'm right. Just here's a graph. I win. Not gonna lie, I thought that was gonna be better. I think what that shows is just that like if you take the extreme case, you learn. Like okay, hold on. Pause the stream. What this shows is that if you take the extreme case, you do run into an asymptote, which means that obviously the time to get across the two places is like infinite. But obviously these things are slopes, they move up to it. And so as we approach that asymptote, we lose time. So clearly, if there is a headwind, the plane loses time in total. And therefore, you can see it is indeed true. Like you will go slower if there's a tail, if there's a head and a tailwind. So, which is why you should never have support cruisers halfway between bases. And look at that. That might have been game over, but it might have been a surrender. Now look at the veteran. See, that's a game over. Moose is gonna take it. 3-2. It was a tense series, but he did get out of the round of 16. Nicely done, man. Because letsrock I thought actually was gonna 3-0 here, but that did not happen. Very nicely done. Not sure why letsrock played Conf in this series. Yeah, I think maybe he does, but I'm sure I saw him playing Galzian in JC5 in the group stage, but I don't know, I might be wrong. Never. Okay, this has to be shown.